Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. We may or may not have Frank, yet to be determined. Hopefully, he'll be able to jump on. Uh, this is the show we talk about Boston sports. We talk about the Patriots, the Bruins, the Celtics, and Red Sox. Get you all caught up to speed on the goings on over the past week, and we have a whole lot to talk about. It's been a busy week for the Patriots, Bruins, and Celtics for sure. And so before we get things started, give me a chance to post a link for everybody so that you guys can join the show. And as usual, technologically challenged friend over here. Let's see if I can make this work. Let's see if we can make it work. Let's see. Let's see that right there. There's one. And then two. All right. I think we're all set. Let's get the show on the road here. We're going to start with the Bruins. The Bruins had an up and down week last week. They had 4 games. I did say last week that they would need to split those 4 games. At least split those 4 games because of the condensed schedule and how difficult it is for them, as it is with the lack of talent or thereof that they have going on. I would say extremely frustrating. A couple of those games, they gave up 7 goals each game. Terrible. They looked like last year, and I don't know what the answer is for that, but they need to figure out how to rectify that pretty quickly, or it's going to be. I mean, it's already going to be a long year for them, and it's going to be even longer if they don't right the ship pretty quick. So we'll start with last Thursday's game against Anaheim. They lost the game 7-5. They were in the game most of the game. Just the defensive breakdowns were just too many. And actually, I didn't realize because I thought Anaheim was going to be crappy and they're rebuilding whatever. But they hired Joel Quenneville in the offseason to be the coach, as I forgot that he got hired there, and so they're going to be a team to be reckoned with moving forward because he's a damn good coach. Won 3 Stanley Cups with the Blackhawks in the the mid 2000s there, and beat the Bruins in one of them. So tough challenge. They lose the game 7-5. It was back and forth a lot. The Bruins had a 2-1 lead, but then they fell behind 5-3, and then they tied it up 5-5 in the third. But then 30 seconds later, they give up the winning goals, and they're down 6-5, and then they just couldn't get any shots. They had a lot of shots blocked and a lot of chances blocked late in the game. Couldn't get any more goals. But that's a game where some of the breakdowns is like. We're leaving guys wide open in front of the net. We have, defensemen. There's already a defenseman in the corner, and the other defenseman's going in the corner too, and nobody's in front. Or 2 defensemen are behind the net, and the center's supposed to have the guy. The defenseman's supposed to have the guy, and the centerman or the winger is supposed to pick up the guy in front. That's his guy. Doesn't get him. The defensive breakdowns have been bad. And so not a good game for them. So then next game they play is Colorado, which I thought they would lose. So I thought they would beat Anaheim, lose to Colorado, and then beat Ottawa and lose to the Islanders, and none of that happened. I didn't get any of those right at all. No surprise. But, against Colorado, they actually played a good game, good up and down game. They matched them, physical wise, skating wise. They had a 2-1 lead, and then with 5 seconds left in the second period on a hustle play, Morgan Geekie grabbed the puck from behind the net, did a wraparound in front, and scored to give them a 3-1 lead. And they hung on for the 3-2 win in that game. Jeremy Swayman was sharp. He stopped 31 of 33 shots in that game. They, as a team, they blocked 34 shots. That's a boatload for blocked shots. So they tightened things up against a really good team. I think that was Colorado's first regulation loss after they beat the Bruins the previous week on the West Coast when the Bruins went out there and beat them pretty handily 4-1. So they get the makeup there and get the W. I see you, Danny, so hang tight. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So thank you for that. The Bruins are playing now as we speak, so we'll get an update on that game after I wrap up these games here. The Ottawa game they played a few nights ago, absolute dumpster fire. They lose 7-2. It's not close. Bad defense, stupid penalties. They looked lifeless. And Swayman's in net again. And I don't know what's going on with that. But, the games that he's been in net where they're giving up all these goals, I would have thought that with the way he has been playing up to this point, that whatever was going on in the locker room last year dissipated. It's gone. It's everything's brand new. It's a clean slate, and they're not going to have problems. And then, you watch a game like Ottawa the other night, and it's just totally out of sync, out of whack, outmatched, outskated, outshot. I mean, they just didn't have a chance. Tim Stutzel, however you pronounce that kid's name. I know he had at least 2 goals on the power play. He's a Bruin killer. And, old friend, former Bruin, Linus Ullmark didn't even play in the game. I think he had played previous to that, so they sat him out. And Ottawa is also missing their top player, Brady Tkachuk. He's out until December. So, Stutzel, he's a Bruin killer. He scores a lot of goals against them. But, you got Ottawa without their best player and arguably their number 1 goalie. And you don't show up almost at all. And look, I understand, they have a condensed schedule, so there's not a lot of time to practice. That's a problem. And it's not just a Bruins problem, it's a league-wide problem. All the teams have to face it. But again, like I said last week, it's not good for a team that's starting out with a new coach, a bunch of new players, a new system, and you don't have enough practice time to implement what you want to implement in practice and work on things that are not working and make improvements. It's not good. Nope. Look at this as we speak. Let's welcome our special guest for this evening.
I'm not a special guest. I'm not a special guest.
Guest appearance. Who is this Frank Holden? What the hell's he doing on my show?
Hilarious.
I'm kidding, Frank. Welcome back. I'm glad you're back. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I'm trying to get back into the rhythm of things, Steve. You know that.
I'm just busting your chops a little bit, buddy.
Yeah. So where you at?
Right now, I'm breaking down the awful 7-2 Bruins loss this past week. They were just ugly. They gave up 4 power play goals. Jeremy Swayman was in net, gave up 7 goals. And this is reminiscent of last year, as I was explaining to everybody, that when he was in net, they seemed to have a lot of games where they gave up 6 and 7 goals. And I had thought that it would not carry over. The locker room drama and whatnot from last year wouldn't carry over. He's been playing pretty good up until that game. And he actually got sat 2 nights in a row. So they lose to Ottawa. They get trounced. And then last night They come up with the W. Last night or the night before, I forget now. The games are so close. Actually, it was Tuesday. They beat the Islanders 5-2. They were losing 2-0. They looked like crap in the first period. They totally turned it around. Corpusalo stood on his head. He made 33 saves out of 35 shots. He really played good, and he got the start tonight against Buffalo, back to back. So, and the coach is actually making some lineup changes, and he put Morgan Geekie on the third line. He put Hustadinov on the top line with Pasternak. So he's making some moves, and he's not messing around. He sat Mason Lohrei in the last game, and I like it. I like the changes. I think it's you have to make changes, or you can't stay the same and keep the same guys where they were.
Well, Steve, they are winning right now, so I think you saw that.
And yeah, I was going to get to that. Danny's. I watched the first period. They went in 2-0. I saw them go up, and they got 2 goals on 3 shots. It took them 12 minutes to get their first shot, miraculously. So they're winning right now, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not. I haven't been following the Bruins like you have, but when I saw they won a 6-game losing streak, I was like, oh boy, I knew we were going to. And I knew you enjoy that part. So I mean, you enjoy it. You love to hate it, or you hate to love it, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love to hate. I love to hate when they lose like that. So listen, Negative Ned was being Negative Ned last week. It was like Manny being Manny.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with what you was doing. Okay, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things here. I'd like to talk about. Are you ready to move on to the Celtics or the Patriots? So who you?
Yeah, we can move on. We can go wherever you want.
All right, then let's go on to let's talk about the Celtics because the Celtics have they're interesting, Steve. They're very, very interesting, to say the least. Before I get in my rant, I'd like to hear what you think. Unless you want me to go first. You want me to go first?
Let me go first, so I give you enough time to get your things off your chest, because I have the usual same stuff kind of for a little bit of a mini rant. I think that some of the way that they were playing looks like playground basketball. Some of the passes they were making, I'm like, what are you guys doing? I blame Missoula because he's got to do a better job of getting the matchups and getting the lineups correct and getting these guys. I mean, getting out rebounded badly against Detroit. And there was another game they got out rebounded badly on the offensive glass. They would give a ton of offensive rebounds. The 3-point shooting is never going to go away. The Knicks was bad, and so was Detroit. Those 2 games they got trounced. The scores weren't as close as they looked, and I blame Missoula because, listen, we've been over this. I think they should win 45 to 48 games this year and make the playoffs without Tatum. They have the talent. It's just a matter of what they can get out of these guys. And so Missoula needs to do a better job. And, the threes aren't going away, which is frustrating. But, I was watching after, I forget which game it was they lost. I was listening to Eddie House, and he said, hey, Joe Missoula has to get everybody, all the guys, everybody likes to have a specific role. It's the same in baseball, right? Where the closer knows he's the closer, the setup guy knows he's the setup guy. So the rotations and the lineup for the Celtics, Missoula has to figure out who's going to do what their role is going to be. And so, and plus his in-game adjustments, which we've been over 1,000 times. So a lot of what's gone wrong with them, I blame on him early on. And the rest of it is, the guys are playing like they're playing on the playground. They need to clean that up. So rant over. The floor is yours. Welcome back and have a ball.
Okay, so some of the stuff that you said, I totally agree with. Some of the stuff, it's a little old now because the Celtics now are on a 2-game winning streak. I don't like Joe Missoula's coaching style. Let me start with that right now. I don't like Joe Missoula's coaching style because what he does, I mean, you can look at it a pros and a cons way. What he's doing and what he did was he threw everything out there, all kinds of combinations, especially in the preseason. He threw all kinds of combinations to see what the combinations was going to be to get him the starting 5 that he was going to get. He already knew Jaylen Brown was going to start. He knew Derek White was going to start. And he had a great idea that Cater was going to start, but he wasn't sure. So after the last 2 games, with Josh Minot and Neemias Queta in there, I think he knows now that this is going to be his starting five because these guys are now rebounding the basketball, and he's able to start from there. But the other point is that he put in Peyton Pritchard to start, and he didn't sit down Peyton Pritchard and have a conversation with him and say, listen. You're not coming off as a sixth man off the bench here. You're not coming off. You're starting the game as the point guard. When you start as the point guard or your shooting guard, you've got to distribute the basketball first and then look for your shot. You know what I mean? He was coming in always trying to score, like he's coming off the bench as a sixth man. But 2 games ago, you could see that they haven't had a conversation with him because then him and Derek White started to, distribute the basketball. And as of last night, they beat Cleveland. Now, if anybody knows anything about basketball, Cleveland was number 1 seed throughout the entire NBA season last season, and they were off to a pretty good start. But they did play off of a back-to-back, so I was expecting it to be close. I didn't expect the Celtics to win. But let me go back to that game last night. The Celtics last night had more assists last night than they have all season. You know what I mean? So they were able to start moving the ball, passing the ball, and guys were able to start scoring, which was great because now you can see that they're doing. But the Celtics, the first 3 games, shot horribly. It's like this is not the same team. They keep jacking up threes. Now you and I both know I've been talking about this for years. I hate that they keep shooting threes, but they're not going to go away from the identity of shooting threes. They have a team that's made right now of shooting threes. They got that kid from Portland. Now his name
Simons. I like him.
Yeah, they got Simons because he is a microwave. When this kid gets started, he can light it up. So I think that now they know, okay, we're going to put Simons in coming off the bench, and he will be that spark that we need because he's a microwave. He can automatically shoot and everything else. So I think they found what what they're trying to do. But all that being said, I'm still not a fan of Joe Mazzulla's coaching style. I'm still not a fan of the way that they're playing basketball just yet. If they win 2 or 3 more games, if they string together 2 or 3 more wins, because the first game they should have beat Philly. They blew that lead out. You know what I mean? Even though now Philly has the best backcourt in the league. You know what I mean? They still were beating them, and they had that game. That was game 1. Now they're getting ready to play Philly in the next couple of games.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that they will be able to be a lot more competitive because they're passing the ball, and they should beat Philly. They should. But again, Philly has the best backcourt in the league now, and that kid that they have is getting a whole lot of confidence. So he's not the fresh out the gate rookie that he was game 1 starting the season. So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah. There's a lot of things going on with the Celtics. There's a lot of concern I have with the Celtics. There's a lot of things that I would like to adjust with the Celtics, but it really would start with the head coach. So when I was, how we always talk about, the Celtics or the Bruins, we go back and forth and everything else. I was like, if I get a chance to do a show, one of the questions I would like to pose is, where would the Celtics be? Forget about the scandal. Okay, let's forget about the scandal. Where would the Celtics be this season if they had Ime Udoka as coach? And I came to the conclusion that I think they would be a much better basketball team because in preseason, Ime would have had them know who the starting 5 was, and they would have been building from that. You know what I mean? Plus, Ime if you see what he's doing with Houston, this guy can really, really coach. Like he could, Steve. This guy's one of the best. Honestly,
Frank,
I think he's the second best coach in the league. You know what I mean?
If he was the coach, they would have won 2 years ago, right?
They did win 2 years
And
ago.
not with him as coach, though. Mazzulla was coach.
Oh, yeah, they would have won that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? And they would have won last year, too, and they wouldn't have lost to the Knicks.
Yeah, that's for sure.
In my opinion.
With
him as the coach, I think they would have won back-to-back.
Yeah.
And also, to your point, this year, even with the losses and the turnover and all that stuff, they wouldn't have started 0-3.
No, because
I agree with you. I liked him as the coach. I agree with you. I liked him as the coach.
And they know who's doing what. They know whose role is what. You know what I mean? So I don't know, Steve. I mean, we go back and forth about this. It's nothing really to go back and forth about. I mean, we both really agree on the situation was going on. With.
I mean, I look at the 3-point shots they're taking, and they're not the same as like last couple of years where they were finding the guy wide open. They're passing and they're spacing and getting the open looks. They're not getting as many open looks, and they're still jacking up the threes. I think that's the biggest difference so far this year between the last 2 years. And I don't watch basketball like you, so I can't articulate
Actually,
Same way
last
you
4 years, but I know which point you're making. No,
Well, listen,
yeah,
we're gonna get to it in a second. But we've been doing this show for 3 years, and so for all 3 years, those threes have been a problem for the Celtics and for us, and so they're not going away. And I look at the box score yesterday: 21 of 57. So
yeah.
57 of their 95 shots, which means almost 60% of the shots they took were 3-pointers. And some of the other games they were like 15 for 43. And their shooting is terrible. It's 25%. It's not going to be good enough. And I feel like, sorry, I'm rambling on a little bit, but if you look at Derek White this year, I love Derek White. So I'm not trying to bash him or anything, but he's taking threes. He's only shooting 20-something%. And I think that starting the way that he's starting and trying to distribute and shoot at the same time is messing him up. He's not getting cleaner. He's not getting all clean looks like he was getting before. And I think that the lack of the guys around him that he's been playing with is part of that.
The lack of not having Jason Tatum is a huge part of that because Jason Tatum would command a double team. Somebody would collapse, stick Jason Tatum and leave him wide open or semi-wide open. But now the teams can focus on Derek White and they can focus on Jaylen Brown because everybody knows that's the Celtics' two best players. Until another player steps up and turns into, like a great scorer, Derek White is going to have a more difficult season than, everybody on TV, they say, oh, Derek White, this is his year. This is his year. I'm not sure if it's going to be his year because, again, the teams can say, if we stop Derek White, in the backcourt, and we stop or we stop Jaylen Brown, we can stop the Celtics. You know what I mean? But you've got to be able to say, okay, Derek White is just one option, one of three or one of four. But he's not just one, it's not a 1-2 punch. You know what I mean? You've got to figure that out. And I've been saying since the beginning of the season, honestly, I didn't want Pritchard to start. I wanted Pritchard to keep doing what he was doing, and I wanted Anthony Simons to come off the bench. To start in his place. But right now, after the last 2 games, maybe he can get in that role because my thought process at the time was Pritchard just keeps trying to shoot, and not pass the ball. You know what I mean? But now, if he's passing the ball and he's giving these other guys, okay, then now I could see, I could go along that path. But they need another scorer, and that guy who they have that scorer, they literally have that scorer. And so the guy's trying to force it, and then force with Derek White's forcing it. You can literally see it. He's forcing it. If they come down and they miss 2 or 3 shots in a row, first thing he's going to do is to come and take a 3. And it's starting to become habit, And game 1, I was happy to see what he could do. Now with game 5, I'm like, Derek is becoming very disappointing. And I love, Derek White's one of my most favorite players on the team. You know what I mean?
So I agree with you. I love Derek White, but here's my thought too as to why Pritchard starts and Simons doesn't. It's because Pritchard's a better defender. That's the knock. The knock on Simons is he's not a good defender, and so yeah, he can score and he's a microwave, but he's better off coming off the bench playing against the other guy's second unit.
I don't necessarily agree if he's a better defender. They both can't defend, if you ask me. They both can't. So they're both not. Pritchard's too small. If anybody wants to back him down the lane, they can. And Anthony Simons, his attention span's too short. He's not paying attention to the man. He's not paying attention to the guy's first step, and he gets blown by. So both of them, if you ask me, maybe you might be right to the extent of they both, they sit there, the Celtics sit there and say they both suck. But who's the best one out of the 2? If you're saying to me who's the best defender out of the 2, yeah, you're right. But again, I can then turn around and say, do you want your best defenders to start or do you want your best defenders to finish? I want my best defenders to finish. I'm not worried about my best defenders starting because how you start out the gate in the game can predicate you being down 18 or 20 or hell in this league now you could be down 30. If you look up, you know what I mean? Especially against the Sixers backcourt. These guys, the last 2 games those Sixers have been playing, they're shooting the lights out. This is the best shooting I've seen in a while. And these guys are playing ball. And look at the Bulls. The Bulls now have a backcourt that can shoot. My point is, you can look up and these guys can shoot, but you've got to be able to compete scoring-wise to be able to shoot. You know what I mean?
All right, I'm with you because Simons came in a couple games, got hot. And he was dropping threes, and so
it's not a shooting. It's not a defensive league anymore. Basically, what I'm going with that. It's not.
No, I look at the box scores. I look at some of the scores at 135 to 130 or 136 to 135 in overtime. I'm seeing these scores just like you are, and everybody's doing the same thing. They're all jacking up threes up the wazoo.
Steve, I saw the Lakers game last night. The Lakers were up by 18 points with 5 minutes to go in the game. And the Lakers blew that lead until Minnesota came back. Literally, the Minnesota tied with hitting threes. They tied that game within 4.5 minutes, and they almost won. You know what I mean? They were up by 18 points. Back in the 80s and 90s, that would have never happened. But it's happening now because
agree. That's my
everybody.
that's my frustration with the Celtics is they get these big leads. They had a 9-point lead against Philly with 3 minutes left, and they blew it.
Yeah, but again, because people are hitting threes, and again, unlike the 80s and the 90s, these guys now are much better scorers. They're much better shooters. Everybody can shoot. Everybody. Even the big guys can shoot. When you see Wemby shooting threes all day, I mean, even the Celtics big men are shooting threes because they're not scared to shoot them. You sitting there like, stop shooting these damn threes, but people are hitting them. So
Listen, I saw the highlight when Wemby grabbed the rebound and ran the ball down the
Oh
court.
yeah.
He dribbled it down and just pulled up for a three. And he was in between the half court line and the arc. He wasn't near the arc. He was like in between both of them and threw it up and hit it. I'm like, holy crap, this guy that's amazing. That's amazing for a big guy to be able to dribble the ball down there like that and then just take a shot from there and make it, but like it's nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I mean, we had Porzingis here as a big guy that could shoot. People might not think that they would miss him, the Celtics, but they are going to miss him.
Oh yeah.
Luke Cornett to an extent defensively, and just to be a guy that brings some energy and takes fouls and whatnot. But listen, that league, you know how it is. There's a limit to how much you can pay everybody and how long you can pay them. Just like most sports, and I find that and I'm not getting into the salary cap with that league, but the way that they have it structured, there's really a 2-year window, unless you want to pay up the wazoo in the third year, and that's where the Celtics found themselves. So I kind of don't blame them for what they did.
I don't either, but there's got to be other better big men out there. There's just got to be, because I'm not a Garza fan at all. And that other kid, Tillman, I'm not a Tillman fan, and I'm not a Garza fan.
I think Tillman's problem is he's not a center. He's too small. He's only 6'8". I mean, he can't play. He shouldn't be playing center.
Yeah, he shouldn't be. But
I love Quater, though. I like him a lot.
Quater, I like, yep.
But he's not going to be 30 or 35 minutes a game. He's like 20, 25, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I like Gaza off the bench. He's a guy, like I said, if he can get you 10 points and 8 rebounds off the bench, he got 10 points and 5 rebounds in 16 minutes yesterday. That's not bad. The problem is, can he play defense? I think that's one of the issues he has.
But you know what? You're opening up the door, too, when you're talking about defense. Looking at Josh Minot. Josh Minot is right now, if you ask me, he's the best defender besides Jaylen Brown on the Celtics right now. This kid he's averaging 3 steals a game, sometimes 4 steals a game. He's averaging 3 blocks a game. This kid is –
Where did he come from?
Minnesota. He came from Minnesota. He was not getting time on Minnesota. He was literally sitting there wasting away. And Minnesota was averaging playing him only 5 minutes a game. Now, the Celtics now can put him in small forward right now alongside with Jaylen Brown, and he could literally explode. I think he's another version of Derek White. Remember how we discovered Derek White a couple of years ago? And nobody knew who Derek White was? I think Josh Minot is that guy. I think he can be that guy. So
that's good. Hey, I'm happy for them then. Good for them.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. All right, you ready? It's 8:30. You ready to talk about this the Patriots now? Because I want to get to the Patriots too.
Oh yeah, we have a lot to talk about with them. Let's start with them beating the Browns. Excuse me. Let's start there.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to start there. I guess we both are probably going to say the same thing about how angry we are with the Patriots with these slow starts. They continue to have slow starts. They continue to let teams go down the field and score on them. And they continue just to slow. I mean, sooner or later, Steve, they're going to come across a team and not be able to, if they play Kansas City first round in the playoffs, because right now they're paired up to start with Kansas City. Like they're the number 2, with the Patriots, the number 2 and number 3 seed.
Number 2.
Yeah. So right now, number 2 seed, they'd be facing the Kansas City Chiefs if there's the first round playoffs to start right now. And if they give up the first score to the Kansas City, they're not seeing the game. Like they're not coming back from that. I just don't see it.
I agree with you. Listen, that's a problem. You heard me rant already. They win the coin toss and they defer, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. You shouldn't be allowed to defer until you win a Super Bowl again, because that system only worked when you had Tom Brady. You're rebuilding. You need to get the ball first and score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, and put pressure on the other teams instead of the other way around. What we've seen every single week. and them not being able to make stops on the other team's opening drives, and it's wicked frustrating. And so I know we usually do the top 3 takeaways from what we saw. So I don't know if you want to start with that.
Yeah, we could do that, but let me just say this. I don't care, before you do the top three takeaways, let me just say this. I don't care if the Patriots get the ball first. I just care that they stop the other team first. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the Patriots have the ball coming out of the second half. I'm always a fan of that. Like, I want them to have the ball coming out of the second half because you never know where you're going to be as the second half starts. You know what I mean?
But until they're good enough to do that, they shouldn't defer the kicks. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
they're rebuilding. I agree with you. Look, everybody wants to get the ball to start the second half because you think you're going to get it and score, and then get it again and score. But they're in a different place right now. They're falling behind on the other team's opening drives. You need to flip that, take the ball, go down, score, and make them play catch up. That's my point. So
Do you realize? Do you realize, before we do three takeaways? Do you realize the two games they lost? One of them was to one of the worst teams in the league with game one, and the other one they had 5 takeaways. They literally could be what, Steve? 8-0, right? 8-0. So how many games did they play? 7. They played
8. No, they're 6-2. They literally could be 8-0 if they cleaned up. If they didn't lost the first game, and then the turnovers against Pittsburgh did them in. All those fumbles and whatnot. I mean, look, I honestly I'm not happy that they had the turnovers and lost those games, but you know how it is in that league. It's not how you start, it's how you finish, right?
Yeah.
And so, being 8-0 does nothing if you can't finish strong and make a run and get to the playoffs. What was the year the Patriots, it might have been Brady's last year, they were 8-0 in the first half, and they finished 4-4 in the second half. They were playing bad football near the end.
2019, 2020.
Kind of did them in when they played Tennessee in the playoffs. So look, again, they're starting over. They're learning how to win. I like what they've been doing. I do want to touch on the takeaways that I saw. Unless you want to go first.
No, you go first. You go first. I'm open.
Number one takeaway: Myles Garrett is a beast. I really thought that he was going to have 10 sacks in that game. First half, they couldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Was driving me crazy. And you probably saw me post it. Are you guys going to do something in the second half, or are you just going to let them kill Drake May all game? Number two, the Patriots so far are definitely a second half team. I don't know if it's making adjustments or whatever the case may be, but the first half they've been slow. The games have been tight, and then they seem to be able to pull away in the second half, which is a good sign, and an old Patriots staple. And number three, the ground game was good. They mixed it up, and they finally got Travion Henderson outside on some runs, and it was good to see. So those are my top takeaways.
Okay, and for me, my number one takeaway is that Josh McDaniel is one of the best offensive coordinators in the league, and he's probably in NFL history, one of the best. He's got to be in the top 10 offensive coordinators because he's literally doing amazing work without having a running game for the New England Patriots. He's able to do some things that just sitting there saying, okay, they're not running the ball well, and for some reason they just can't block off inside blocking to help these guys to get runs on the inside. But he knows they could do right on the outside. And even though Myles Garrett had 5 sacks in that game, he still was able to find a way to get the Patriots to move the ball. That's a huge, takeaway from that game. The other two takeaway from that game is the Patriots have some gaps on defense, but they're able to hide the gaps, the issues that they have on defense. And if they don't figure out what they're going to do with Davis, I think Davis is going to turn into a liability. He's not as good as to me. He's not as good as people are saying or things looking like when they signed him. He's getting to be a mediocre player. He stood out to me as like, Kansas City comes in here. I'm just thinking teams that can throw the ball, they're going to light him up. They're going to light him up because he's just not playing as well as he was when he was playing with the Lions to me.
Frank, give me half a second.
Okay. And I'll continue to keep on talking for those of you sitting there watching. That's literally one of my takeaways. The third takeaway, and I think this is going to be huge. The third takeaway for me, for the Patriots is I think that the wide receivers at the Patriots are better. If you're sitting there watching, you could agree or disagree, but I think the wide receivers are better than the Patriots. I'm just continuing talking for people who are watching.
That's fine. I apologize.
I think the Patriots wide receivers are better than advertised. I think, and I've been saying, I said it to you 2 years ago. I said the Patriots would not. The problems the Patriots have is not the wide receivers. The problems the Patriots have is coaching. And now we have some great coaching, and now you're starting to see the wide receivers starting to flourish. You know what I mean? I kind of wish Tyreek Thornton was still here. You know what I mean? That kid is a burner. You see what he's doing for Kansas City? He's a burner. You
I
know
know,
what I mean?
and this is the difference we talked about too. The offensive line couldn't block anybody, which means they
Right.
couldn't. They were there was complaints about the receivers not getting open, but there's no time to get them the ball, which is a huge difference if you look at what they have this year versus last year. Again, the offensive line is not going to be perfect, but they're giving him way more time to be. A 39-yard touchdown pass was like unthinkable 2 years ago, or even last year. They only had a few of them. Now look at
Yeah.
these guys lighting it up now. Keyshawn Booty, they finally have a deep threat, right? And I agree with you. If they had Thornton and him, oh my God.
Yeah. So let me finish my third point.
Go ahead.
My third point is definitely got to be the wide receivers. I think that the wide receivers are getting out there to be able to show the league of what they can do. Like you just touched on, where Keyshawn Booty is the man. I think that this guy is better than advertised. I think that the Patriots should be in the market, which we got to talk about right now. We got to talk about what the Patriots should be in the market for. I don't know, Steve. Before I even go into that, what do you think the Patriots should be in the market for? Because off the top of my head, I think the Patriots should be. There's two things I could see the Patriots being in the market for right now. They probably will be an outside linebacker, but to me, the thing that stands out to me is if they got another number one wide receiver, the Patriots could make it to the Super Bowl, which is pretty scary to say. You know what I mean? They could, because now you got a guy who could throw the deep pass. You're scared of Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs is cutting through the middle of the field like Julian Edelman, but he's also a threat on the outside. But if they got a number one wide receiver like the kid from Philly, if they got him and they got somebody who's big who could take deep threats on the outside, and that offense is very, very scary. They could light it up. You know what I mean? And their defense is formidable to stopping the run. So it'd be interesting to see who. And then you sit there, Steve, who in the AFC literally could stop the Patriots on a run right now if they got another number one right now? Who could stop them going into the championship game? There's only maybe one or two they will have difficulty playing, but they could beat anybody in the AFC right now. There's nobody.
I agree with you. I think because everybody's defense is nobody's playing good defense.
Right.
Everybody's got the same problems. So if you're asking me what do they need, if I had to pick two things,
yeah,
they need secondary help, because to your point, Carlton Davis is not the strength that they thought he was going to be, number one. And number two, you just lost Kyle Duggar, who's a veteran safety guy. They need somebody, either another safety or another cornerback, to help the secondary. And you're going to be surprised at this, but I think they need a depth offensive lineman, a veteran guy.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm not surprised. I agree with
Well,
that.
the reason I say that is because, look, I'm not sold on the guys that they have on the depth chart to step in if Moses Brown on the right side, if he goes down, or Will Campbell goes down, like, get me another veteran, like left tackle backup guy, or somebody else that's a veteran, so that if somebody went down, they could fill in. That would be my two choices. And I don't disagree about the wide receiver thing, but I don't see them getting another guy like A.J. Brown and getting another number one guy in here, because that means between him and Diggs, they'll be fighting for the ball. And I wouldn't want to upset that apple cart right now. To your point, and Frank, we've been saying this for 2 years, the receivers they have are good enough. If they had Kendrick Bourne here and Thornton here still, the receivers definitely wouldn't be a problem. And I like the guys they have. It's just a matter of what more can they get out of them. I mean, Kyle Williams has been kind of a bust. I'd like to see them get something out of him, but I'm fine with the guys they have.
Yeah, I am too. But if Kyle Williams was gone and they still had Tyreek Thornton, I'd be happy. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be happy.
I agree. I agree with you. It's too bad that they couldn't figure out. I bet you. Listen, you already know. You already know, because you already said it. Josh McDaniels will find a way to utilize that guy.
Yeah, he sure would.
And make it work. So,
right,
wide receiver is not really an issue for me at this point.
2-1 in the Bruins game. 2-1 in the Bruins game.
2-1. Up, see, they're starting to fall apart already.
Yeah. All right. So we got 2 minutes to talk about the trade. Let's talk about this trade real fast. Do you like the trade that the Patriots did, or do you not like the trade?
The Kyle Duggar one doesn't bother me, because he wasn't playing. He wasn't fitting the scheme. So I'm not upset about that. But I am absolutely pissed off about Keon White being traded because they didn't utilize him properly. This is the problem they have. They had it when Belichick was the coach too. They draft a guy coming out of college that absolutely chases quarterbacks down left and right, right? Gets a boatload of sacks, a boatload of backfield stops. Then they bring him in here and they try the scheme they have doesn't fit and they don't utilize him. Remember when he first came in and he was opposite Judon and they were
Yeah,
talking about having a 1-2 punch?
yeah.
His role should have been to learn from Judon and become like a third down specialist guy initially until you can become a 3-down guy, like Miles Garrett or who's the kid that got traded from Dallas, right, to Green Bay? I can't think of his Micah Parsons, right? He had that kind of a potential, and you threw it away and tried to force him to stop the run. And so he doesn't stop the run. It's like, oh, he sucks. We have to get rid of him. It's like, no, you didn't utilize him properly. I'm angry at this. They waste these guys. I hate it. I love Keon White. I wanted him to stay here. I wanted him to utilize him, and he's going to go to San Francisco now with Joey Bosa being hurt, and you watch him pile up the sacks now for San Fran.
Yeah, I agree with him going to San Francisco. He's going to explode in San Francisco. I just trying to figure out like why would the Patriots trade him and then get peanuts in return? I'm just on both him and Kyle Duggar. Listen. I can't even express how angry I was about him. But then I sat there and thought about it, like why was it a trade to do the trade? Was it a trade because they didn't want to pay? Because Keon White's coming up out of that contract. You know what I mean? They did trade to get rid of him because they didn't want to pay him that kind of money. Or same thing with Kyle Duggar. Was it that? Or are they trying to stockpile picks because the trading deadline is next week? What are the Patriots doing? What is their secret? And honestly, they're getting a lot of picks over here. I'm thinking that they might be stacking up some picks and then try to get rid of one extra player and try to get a big name. That's what I'm thinking of doing because stuff that they're doing right now is not making sense. Like people like me and you are sitting at home saying, "What the hell are you doing? It doesn't make any sense." Unless you're stocking because you're trying to do some major move that you're trying to make a play for that another team will go for because another team is probably saying, "Listen, give me a handful of this and a guy." You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's
But
what
the
I'm at.
problem is they're getting 6th-round picks, and it's not like they got 4th-round picks for these guys, right? If they were getting 4th-rounders or 3rd-rounders, then I could see your point because you're piling up those picks, and then it's more attractive when you try to make a trade for somebody that's going to make an impact. You're going to trade, to your point, if you wanted to trade away a current roster player and then add a 3rd-round pick for a guy that's really good, you would do that. I don't know who's taking 6th-round picks back for guys that are really good. So
Steve, you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it wrong because at the end of the day, when anything after 2 rounds or lower, you never know what you're going to get. So when you're talking to these guys, you can say, listen, there are a lot of guys who are in the NFL who are in the Hall of Fame who never were drafted too. So you take a couple of these picks, you mix and match, and with another guy, you might hit somebody in the 6th round. You might hit somebody in the 7th. It depends on you and your scouting. That's how you talk to them. And
yeah,
I'm sure
listen, we've
it is.
seen it already. Tom Brady, 6th-round pick, Terrell Davis, 6th-round pick, Hall of Fame guys. I mean, I
You never
don't
know.
argue with that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's all they could get, and so they just took what they could get and moved on. And
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of. Listen, and we talked about this last year when I talked about the Bruins with their trade deadline. You're not going to win every single trade, right? So it's not about really winning the trade as much as it is, okay, what did you get and how can you utilize that asset? I guess so. To your point, maybe some teams would be okay with a guy in a 6th-round pick. Uh, I don't know how far that's going to get them based on whatever they're trying to get. So I
All
don't
right.
know.
All right, so let's move on to what is because we're not going to talk about the Red Sox. We even mentioned baseball. We got to just give a shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays who got smashed a lot of times by the Red Sox this year. I remember that.
They did, right? The Red Sox had their number this year for the first time in about 5 years.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
beat them 9 or 10 times this year.
So let me ask you this, Steve. Seeing the Toronto Blue Jays one win away from the World Series, how do you feel about the Red Sox? Because the Red Sox was putting their foot in their ass like all year. You know what I mean? How do you feel about the Red Sox going into the next season?
I think they're still going to be right where they are. I mean, they have to make significant improvement. You know as well as I do. They're not going to finish beyond 3rd place because they have to add a number 2 starter. They have to. And they
Well,
have
they
to add
have to
another
give
bat.
you confidence. Steve, you're negative Ned all day. I'm gonna start calling you Negative Nancy. Negative Ned all day.
No, that's what started the negative Ned. You called me negative Nancy, and that doesn't fit. So listen, you didn't want to talk Red Sox. I'm fine with that.
No,
Listen,
I know. I'm not saying. I'm
I'm
just.
fine with that. Listen, I'm fine with that because I don't like what I see from them. They should have had more than 89 wins.
But you're talking to the
They,
Red Sox now, Steve. You're getting ready to go down that path. You're going there. You're going there.
but listen, you asked me what I think about them for next year. They're gonna suck. They're
Yeah,
not fixing the problems.
all right. That's all. That's fine. Okay. Well,
Oh, what do you think?
I think they have confidence. I just wanted to say because we're talking about the World Series happening right now. I think they should have confidence going into the next year, but based on what Toronto's doing right now. That's all I wanted to say. They didn't want to dive in deep for that.
But Toronto built their team better than we did.
Yeah.
Even though the Red Sox put their foot in their ass all year. Again, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. They have a strong team. They have good hitters. They've been building something for a while. Look. You know what they did that the Red Sox didn't do? They added a quality starter at the deadline, and that's the guy that pitched yesterday, Bieber.
And he killed. All right. So now it's time to do the poll questions.
Yep. Poll questions from this week. We actually had.
I like all your poll questions because these are funny.
So we actually had 7 poll questions, but I think it's a record for
pick 3.
Show.
We're not going through all 7. Pick 3.
Oh, come on. I put a lot of work into this. I'll skip the first couple. Actually, I got 1, 2.
Yeah, because some of them are old.
3.
Like giving the Celtics opening night loss. Nobody's
we're not going to skip. We're going to skip those. Let's do with the Celtics starting 0-3. What do you think is their biggest problem so far? We had coaching 20%, too many threes 60%, rebounding 0, lack of talent 20, other 0.
Who voted on that? It was rebounding. Who voted on
that? Nobody voted on rebounding, but I thought it was one of their issues in the first 3 games.
It was their biggest issue the first 3 games. It was their biggest issue. Okay, go to the next one.
What is the Bruins' biggest problem so far this season? Coaching 0, defense 14%, goaltending 14%, lack of talent 43%, and upper management 29%.
I was at the lack of talent myself. I was there.
I had lack of talent too because you could have put upper management if you wanted to because they're the reason for the lack of talent. But the lack of talent on the ice, you could actually see what the hell's going on there. And we'll use this question with the NFL trade deadline coming up next Tuesday. What do you think is the Patriots' biggest need? Running back 0, wide receiver 0, pass rush 100%, secondary help 0.
Yeah, I don't know what people are looking at. I'm just.
So I don't know.
Do you think they need a wide receiver? Do you think there's not? Is any thought cross your mind about the Patriots needing a wide receiver at all?
Listen, I'm not going to say they don't need one. I just don't know how another number 1 guy like an AJ Brown would mesh him and Diggs in the same room. And to be honest, they should make it work because look at Cincinnati. They got Jamar Chase and Higgins, right? And the Rams had Puka Nacua, and now they have Devontae Adams. I mean, so they have 2 guys. So look, they should find a way to make it work.
If they get there. If they get there.
I my stance on the diva receivers. I hate it. I think Diggs has been, a model guy so far, and I don't want to see that apple cart disrupted.
Actually, honestly, I can't even believe Diggs came in and is as mature as he is. I'm sitting here 100% shocked, without a shadow of a doubt, the way Diggs is.
And he's all in, and so I don't want to mess that up by bringing another guy in. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but I do. You're not going to mess it up if the guy comes in. If you get the right guy, AJ Brown might be the wrong guy, but if you get a right guy who's the number 1 guy, who might be somebody who already has worked with Mike Vrabel, it might really, really work. Because I'm sure Stephon Diggs realizes that they're not going to get to the Super Bowl and win with just him being the number 1. Because anybody could just double team him, unless Keyshawn Boutte turns into like the star number 2, which is very possible because he's very good. You know what I mean? Unless it happens. But if they get another star who's the number 1 right now with Keyshawn Boutte, they will have 3 great wide receivers. You know what I mean? They would have 3 great ones. So I'm for pass rush. Yeah, I understand the pass rush thing. I get it. But I don't know about you, Steve, but to me, I don't think I've ever seen the Patriots defense this good since 2001, 2002, 2003 Patriots. I don't think I've seen them this good. They're really
finally starting to put it together. I think early on they were struggling a little bit, but they're really starting to kind of put it together now. So
yeah,
I think that, and I have to say, Milton Williams and Barmore together. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
afford to have one of those two guys go down again for anything like the time because they're just those guys are beasts too. Milton Williams was a great pickup.
So I want to see what these predictions were that you.
All right, so here we go. Let's see. Hold on, I got the wrong thing here.
Patriots
All
3-point
right.
win versus Cleveland. You actually thought the Patriots were going to lose to Cleveland?
No, I just thought that the game would be closer, and because of Cleveland's defense, because they were only allowing 256 yards per game, and they were the number one team against the rush and the pass. And so
So,
I thought it would be like 19-13 game, not a 32-13 game. So I had only had half the score right.
okay, but check this out. I don't know if you thought about this because I thought about this. The Cleveland Browns have the number one or number two defense in the league, and you saw what the Patriots did. We're offense. You know what I mean?
I
So
know.
I'm happily optimistic of in the direction that they're going. You know what I mean? So, but anyway,
I agree. I can't argue. Stephon Diggs gets his first touchdown. Ding, ding, ding. Finally get one right. Number 3, I said the Bruins would split 2-2. Ding, ding, ding. Another one right.
what do you mean by split 2-2? Two games and lose
I
two
said they
games.
were gonna. They had 4 games. And I said they were gonna win 2 and lose 2.
Okay.
And then the last one, Victor Arvidsson gets his first Bruins goal. Ding, ding, ding. He actually scored twice.
So I see you haven't really
So
been stretching on your predictions over here, huh? You've been really lazy, huh?
listen, Stephon Diggs didn't have a touchdown.
Yeah, that's not a stretch. Statistically speaking, he's down. He's bound to get one by week 8. That's not a stretch.
Listen, I said last week I get more right when you're not here, so maybe you should stay away. Getting 3 right in a week, I think is a record for me.
Yeah, that definitely is. I'm forgetting, like, wow, you got all these right. Okay. So now let me get 3. Let me get a stretch. Let's get a stretch. Give me
I
3
actually
things.
don't. What do I have this week? Hold on, where did I put them? I
Oh,
said
you wrote
Mac
them out.
Collins. I said Mac Collins would get his first TD. He hasn't gotten any yet.
That's not a stretch either, because he's statistically speaking, he's bound to get one too. That's not a stretch.
Listen, Marat Hustadinov, who was on the 3rd line or the 4th line, now on the first line, needs to get his first goal of the season. He hasn't scored yet.
Okay,
So there's number 2.
Okay, what's number 3?
Number 3, the Bruins will win 1 and lose 2 next week.
Well, they're winning one now, right now. So okay, that's yeah. Actually,
That'll be it. Then they're going to lose the next 2 games after this if they
I
win.
think the Bruins are going to win. Let's see, how many games you say they have next?
They have 3.
Okay, I think they're going to be 2-1 the next 3 games.
All right, I got 1 and 2
Okay, well, put me down for that.
because of who they're playing. All right, I got you.
Okay, because they're making a lot of changes. I see them popping up on my phone, and the coach looks like he's extremely pissed, and it looks like he's going to cut people tomorrow. And they look like the players even know that. Like they're so mad. He's so mad, and he might be sitting there saying, "I have the talent to have this team to be a better team." That's what he might be really upset about.
Actually, did you see his comment earlier in the week after they lost one of those games? And he basically kind of did like Alex Cora and was like, well, this is what we got. There is no moving up and down, blah, blah. So I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, you're on the same boat as Alex Cora. Welcome aboard.
Well, honestly,
misery loves company.
I saw that quote, and then I sat there and watched it 3 times. I was like, you know what he's doing? And I don't even pay attention to the Bruins. You know what he's doing? He did that to piss off the players, to me. I think he did that to say, you guys suck. And he said, like, when your coach comes out and says, you know what, you have no talent, you suck. If that doesn't motivate you, nothing does. That's why I'm like, the Bruins are going to try to think some. I'm not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but they're going to turn some things around because they want to prove him wrong. You know what I mean? Especially these younger guys. You know they're in their feelings. So I think it's going to be 2-1 in the next 3 games. So put me down for that. That's 1.
All right.
Number 2, what's a stretch? I'm kind of nervous, Steve. I'm nervous about the Patriots next 2 games. I'm really nervous about them. I'm nervous about Atlanta. I think they can lose to Atlanta, and I think they can lose to Tampa Bay. I think they can lose both of those games. But I'm going on the record, and I'm saying they're going to beat Atlanta and they're going to beat Tampa Bay. They're going to go down to Tampa Bay, and they're going to beat Tampa Bay. You know why I'm saying that? Because Tampa Bay's strength right now is running the ball, which gives them the option to throw the ball. You know what I mean? That's how they're winning games. And when Tampa Bay gets the ability, it's that they're getting some big break runs and everything else, and they know they can throw a bomb. They can do all kinds of different things, fake here, fake there. You know, to do the play action pass, and Baker Mayfield can throw those bombs. But once they shut down that run, I think they're going to beat Tampa Bay, and I think they know that. So I'm thinking they're going to go 2-0 next 2 games.
All right, so I think they're going to beat Atlanta and lose to Tampa Bay because that's not going to be an easy place to play down there.
And that's
they're
why
due for a loss. And so I'll
They
say this
are.
too.
They are. They are.
I'll do this, right? The Patriots have yet to allow a running back to get over 50 yards.
Yeah.
And I'll say Bijan Robinson gets about 70 to 75 yards this week.
Yeah, that's easy to say. That's easy to say. I can say 75 yards, but he's not getting 100 yards. He's
No,
not.
no, he's not going to get 100, but he's going to break 50. He'll get 70-ish.
Bijan Robinson will get 75 yards. By the way, you still haven't worn that T-shirt and posted on social media.
I know. That's on the docket. Don't worry.
All right, I'm not worrying. I'm just like, you better pay your bets. That's all.
I'll pay. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right.
Don't
So
worry.
that was 3, right? You put me down for 3.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, that's 3. So what else do we normally do to close out the show? I forgot. I haven't done the show in so long.
That's it, pretty much. So now that we have a few extra minutes, I'm going to do this as I am wont to do every couple minutes. Happy anniversary. It's our 3-year anniversary of doing this show. And I'm going to crack one open. Whoa. It's going to crack open on me.
Steve, you got every reason you do to drink. Stop being such a lush.
Listen, I don't drink a lot. Trust me, I don't drink like I used to. But, you know, if you'd have told me 3 years ago I was going to be doing a Boston sports podcast, I probably would have said, no way.
And producer on box seats, you know.
Producer on box seats, awesome opportunity. So I thank you for that. And so, Frank, I salute you. I appreciate you. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's in our group, everybody that watches, everybody, Danny, and everybody else that watches and comments and votes. We appreciate it. And here's to the next 3 years.
All right. Well, it's nice
Plus, I hope.
It's nice seeing you, Steve. I'm going to go downstairs and finish watching the football game.
Nice seeing you too, Frank. I hope to see you more frequently.
Yeah, let's talk
Don't be a
about
stranger.
Let's talk about next week too, okay?
Don't be a stranger.
Yeah,
and,
I'm trying to be on next week. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Sounds good to me. Everybody, thanks again for watching. We'll see you. The name of the show is Boston Straight Shooters, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.